Hey everybody, it's Kirsten here back with another video. Today I really want to talk to you about Freed Pointe shoes. The reason I want to talk about Freeds as opposed to any other brand is because they're kind of unique in the fact that lots of professional schools and companies really want their dancers to wear these types of pointe shoes. However, for most students these days, pre-professional students or just anybody not in the professional realm, they seem to be very hard to get. And I want to talk about, first and foremost, why they seem to be so desired by companies and professional schools. Firstly, it's mostly because they have a very nice look to them. I actually have my pair right here. I mean, these are a little beat up, so they're not going to look as pretty as a brand new Freed Pointe shoe, but as you can see, the satin is a really nice color. They typically have a very low profile. They really flatter the foot for the most part. Sorry, someone is mowing the lawn outside of this window I'm sitting in front of. Anyway, they're just really, really beautiful shoes. And on top of the really nice look, they are really meant for mature dancers because they require a lot of ankle strength. Which I'm saying is a pro because also while they require a lot of strength, they really help you to build a lot of strength. Not only in the ankle, but really in the demi-pointe, because most Freed Pointe shoes are very soft in this demi-pointe area, so they allow you to really roll through. In fact, they not only allow you, but I find that when I was wearing these as opposed to Grishkos, they almost force you to roll down through your demi-pointe when coming off of pointe, which really helped me to practice my articulation a lot better. I just found that overall my strength, my articulation, and my footwork really improved when I started to wear these shoes. And my teachers even said that I looked like I was dancing better. It just really, overall, on top of the look of the shoe, it really, I think, as you mature as a dancer and you wear these shoes, I feel like it really just aids in the entire process of training, and it just takes you to that next level. I might be exaggerating, and that might just be me and a few other people that I've talked to, but in general, what I've noticed is when I observe dancers wearing Freed Pointe shoes as opposed to, let's say, like a really hard shoe, like a Russian Pointe, that makes it much harder for you to roll through your demi-pointe, it just creates a much more professional look. I find that the dancers wearing Freeds look like they have better footwork, better articulation, and so I find that a lot of students who catch on to this want to wear Freed Pointe shoes, myself included. And I finally made the switch a couple months ago. I was wearing Grishko 2007s for at least 4 years, I want to say. And I finally made the switch after years and years of trying on and off like different pairs of Freeds. I think at one point I calculated that over 4 or 5 years I had tried about 7 pairs of Freeds. All of them were different, and none of them really worked for me. So I just want to share with you how you can go about finding Freeds and finding the right maker for you, or if you want studios, those are going to be easier to get. I'll just go ahead and say I'm not going to talk a whole lot about Freed Studios because those are kind of their manufactured pairs of shoes that I'm not sure if they're handmade or not, but they're much easier to get because they're not individual to each maker, and there aren't a ton of varieties of Freed Studios. Those are just kind of their shoes that they make in bulk for students that are easy to obtain as opposed to these classic pointe shoes. Now, I'm still in the learning process about Freed Pointe shoes, so I'm sure some of you who are watching might be experts on Freed Pointe shoes, and you might know more about me. So please feel free to share your knowledge in the comment section so other viewers and myself can learn from your knowledge, because I'm still in the learning curve. But I just wanted to share with you some things I've learned about getting these pointe shoes and kind of just break down the process of how to find the right one for you if you feel as if this is something you want to try. Because also, I don't know if it really made it clear, I feel like these are good shoes to have when you're at that intermediate to advanced level. You can try them before if you find them early on and you feel like they really fit your feet or something like that. But I find that since they're slightly more difficult to dance in than a shoe that might prop you up and might be a little harder and allows you to stay up on point and balance a little bit better, say like a Grishko or a Russian Pointe, then these might not be for you yet if you need a harder, more stable shoe. But if you're at that point where you really want to kind of take your dancing to the next level, you want to really work on your footwork and really start to achieve the professional look, I really think that you should give these a try, because I was against them at first because, I mean, some of the cons are that they're hard to get, they are pretty expensive in comparison to other brands, and for the most part, depending on your feet and how fast you go through pointe shoes, they don't tend to last as long as other brands. But I want to kind of share with you how I found the right pair for me. So I tried Studios, Freed Studios, like I mentioned, the more just kind of, I guess they're factory shoe. I'm not sure quite how to describe it, but they're less individualized shoe, I guess. Never mind. I'm not gonna, the more I talk about it, I feel like my explanations don't get any better. So yeah, anyway, I tried to wear Studios a couple years ago, and those just didn't work for me. I found that they were really painful. They didn't really fit to my feet. They just didn't work for me. I felt like I couldn't point my toes. There was just like my ankle was pointed, and then my toes were just kind of like doing their own thing. So yeah, I didn't wear those for very long. That's not to say that they won't work for some of you though, so you might give them a try. But I knew that I wanted to try the Freed Classic pointe shoes or Classic Pros. I tried both, and in the end I found out that I like Classics better. And the difference between Classic Pros and just the normal Classics are that the Classic pointe shoes have the full shank on the inside. There's kind of like a double shank. You have this outside layer here, and then you have this layer on the inside that actually you could pull apart, and if you would like, you could cut this inside layer. Do you see that right there? I cut that inner shank down so that this shoe would bend at the arch right where I wanted it. Some people don't do that, but then again, it's just, Freeds are very individualized. They're very personalized. That's I believe why they're so popular with professional dancers and companies, is that you can custom order shoes, and they're really meant for specific types of feet, not kind of like a one shoe fits all kind of deal. I hope I'm making sense here. I'm really trying my best, but this is kind of a complicated topic, and as some of you will come to understand if you try and find these shoes. So the way that I finally found the maker I want was through a ton of trial and error. The first thing I tried was ordering Classic Pros off of Discount Dance. Now the thing is with Discount Dance is they will give you a good price on them. However, they do not allow you to specify which maker you want. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but Freed Classic pointe shoes or Classic Pros, they are handmade pointe shoes, and there are a ton of different pointe shoe makers. Each one of them kind of does the shoe a little bit differently. So whenever you get the shoes, you might notice that the shank is harder or they're narrower. Now you may say, what the heck? These are supposed to be the same shoe. They're the same size and within the Classic pointe shoe range. However, Classic Freed pointe shoes have all these different makers as they are denoted on the shank right there. That's a Y. This is a Y maker. So anyway, that just means each one is going to be different. So on Discount Dance, you can't specify which maker you want, which means that you might get a pointe shoe in the mail that isn't tapered at all. It's kind of wide. It has a soft shank as opposed to a hard shank. And the next pair you order might be the complete opposite. And so that is good if you aren't able to find a store where you can try on some shoes to figure that out. You can just keep ordering shoes. I know that sounds like a waste of money, but I was able to make do with that just fine. So I ordered 2 or 3 different pairs of Freed Classic Pros through Discount Dance, and every single maker I got was different. And some were wide in the box and untapered. Others were hard and very square in the box, just untapered. Like, actually, I think that maker was tapered. So I just got a variety, and what I was able to learn from that is what I preferred in a pointe shoe, and I was able to use that as a reference when I finally figured out that the best way to do it would be to I called the Flagship store in New York, and I can put the website for freedusa.com down in the description box, along with probably I can include the phone number and a couple other things, including one of the most helpful tools that I found with figuring out which pointe shoe is the best for me. This is on the Freed website. They have a complete list of all the available makers at the time, and it'll list if some are back ordered or the wait to get a certain kind of pointe shoe, as well as the specifications for each shoe. It'll say the strength of the shank. It'll say the shape of the box, if it's tapered, if it's wide, if it's narrow. So in looking at that, you could kind of figure out what shoe might work for you. Then what I did from there, after picking a couple that I thought, those might work for me, I called the New York store, and I was able to talk to someone who helped me figure out and kind of narrow down from my list which ones I would like. Then I ordered, I believe, 2 different kinds of makers, and basically from that process, after a couple months of doing this with a bunch of trial and error, I was able to figure out which kind worked for me the best. And I think that's what I would recommend, unless you are lucky enough to have a dance store near you, or if you live in a huge city where they have a Freed store and they would be able to fit you. That's how I'd say most of us would have to do it. I know it's a long and hard process, but for me, I really think it's worth it. I've really loved wearing Freed so far, and I've seen a bunch of benefits. So anyway, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them down in the comment section below. This video is getting super long, so I'm just going to cut it off there and hope that I didn't leave out too much information. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.